just for sharing their information.
I don't have presentation,
Okay, you can just,
so I can just use my time to precisely speaking.
But don't forget the important.
That's the only thing I'm going to cover. So precisely today the biggest challenge in the country is 99% incubating startups in generic, I'm saying, are non-fundable. That's a report by EY, KPMG. And it's a big problem. And we are not able to solve even a percent improvement in that. So what's the problem basically? So why we are not finding them fundable? So these 1% is like fundable, but they all are not getting funding. Whether from the government bodies or from the private players like us, whether the angel, VCs or anyone. The biggest problem in India is when startups start their journey, most of them, I'll say majority of them, entrepreneurs, are with a wrong notion that there is a dearth of capital they can get on idea. But the capital is coming either from the government side or from the private player only on the proven track record, starting from POC. What is POC? POC is proof of concept. The educators of these startups or the entrepreneurs, whether they are incubators or individual mentors, have to convey this thing. I was struggling to identify a solution for this when I came back to India after staying in Japan for 15 odd years. Was living a very beautiful and comfort life. So I decided to come back and add value to this ecosystem. So first thing I did is I was doing angel funding, sitting back in Tokyo, was funding in startups in India. And some of them have performed really good and they are star performers, like Dhruva is more than $400 million valuation last Series E funding they got. They have clients like NASA. So when I came back, I helped in first establishing India's biggest incubator with the help of my colleagues who are the angels, and it's called Indian Angel Network Incubator. And there I identified there is a ray of hope. And as an individual, I thought let me add value to this ecosystem, whatever I can, and in my own capacity. And I identified two pain areas. So I started thinking like an entrepreneur. Let's identify the pain area to solve a problem first. So the first pain area I identified is like most of them are non-fundable, even after incubator. With the POC in hand, but they are not getting funding. The second pain area, which was the solution, if I club together, gave a solution to me. I identified another pain area, which was back in the Eastern world, from where I have the expertise, that's called Japan. And most of the Japanese companies could not enter in India, or they were entering with a big ticket like Docomo or Daiichi, bombed. Small ticket were not able to enter. There were so many layers and they were not able to justify their balance sheets and they were winding up their business. And still it's a fact. So I thought what to do. So I decided, okay, let me create a small corpus and I'll try to make these two pain areas as a solution to the industry in a small case study for this country. And I gave it a name called GHV Accelerator. Greenhouse Ventures, as the name says, it's a greenhouse for the startups. We are picking up startups at a very early stage. The investment thesis is very simple, sounds very funny, weird. It's called test POC. So what is test POC? It's basically team for first team, execution capability in the team. And when I say team, it's the founders, founding team members. Highly scalable business model they have created on papers using technology. If technology is not there, they cannot scale it. There are a lot of OPM, other people's money is required for that. And a proof of concept has to be in place. So the test POC is the investment thesis for the GHV Accelerator for picking up. Irrespective of the class, grade or anything, they have to be test POC compliant with us. And they're building a chemistry with me because I have to go a long way to accelerate them in the shortest time. So Greenhouse Venture basically asks entrepreneurs to focus on their core competencies. So technology, the test POC, they should be focused. They should not worry about from where to get a HR manager, where to find the finance and all those things. They were wasting a lot of time. So GHV provided this kind of a control environment, maximum for 12 months. We are doing this. So I decided to fund 25 startups. I have funded so far 7. 5 announced, 2 are in pipeline. We decided to have 12 months horizon for the turnaround of them, and the first 2 we picked up 3 months back. They got funding with a very super speed in 60 days. Next round of funding, $500,000 each, from the global investors, and a very decent valuation, where the investors are quite happy about the valuation because of the growth. One is in the hyperlocal space called Lazy Lad. The other one is a taxi company. Though it was a saturated market, I was knowing Grofers, Paper Tab, Local Bania, Big Basket. Still we picked up just to validate that GHV will work or not. We picked up 3 months back, knowing the VCs are funding a lot. They proved it. The numbers are quite impressive, and they're doing good, and they closed it. So why I'm trying to highlight it here is, going back to my update that I came back, I created the incubator along with my colleagues. Then I was nominated, asked to join the TCOE as an advisor. What I did for 1.5 years is going pillar to post along with Anurag, and doing the interaction with the researchers, the entrepreneurs sitting in the TCOE centers, different IITs. Lot of issues, one common issue, I don't care, was the feeling given to me by all of them. I don't care who you are. Right? If you have a check, leave it and we'll meet next time. That's the read between the lines I got. But why they have been doing it? Because there is no incentive model for the researcher as well as for the entrepreneur. If you look at Unifo, if I am pronouncing the name properly, Unifo was picked up by one of my friend, colleague, and mentor to GHV through his fund. He invested, and I also invested. Were you part of that? Unifo? No. VC funded. Now they are doing really good, and it's part of IIT Chennai. Same model.
One of the ones incubated by TCOE.
TCOE.
Just an interruption,
Sure.
if you don't mind. Yes, 2 days back when he was giving me a briefing on this, I was telling him that even for these partners, we should be making it that they want to be part of us, rather than be chasing IITs and then telling them, "Ki aap khol do."
Right. It should be the other way around. Exactly.
The same thing, I think. Are you reflecting
Right.
the same sentiment?
Exactly. So it's a right rather
I
than a
told you,
push.
I had even told you that a college in Gorakhpur may have its innovators because of the type of I mean the need, the hunger to excel. Whereas IIT guys, I mean the government, it is like me, funding 1 lakh mil raha hai, to chalo.
Right. So I totally go with your thoughts. To elaborate further on the findings of the TCOE system, the platform to improve it, and I'm still bullish we can turn around TCOE platform.
See, that's one of the things which we should flag it up, is get these guys to tell them whether they what are their deliverables, and put them on the thing and send a report to the chairman of the governing board ki ye ho raha hai. Because that is where they are always afraid. See, like all Indians, we are always afraid of the examination.
But I think some of the tier 2 colleges and tier 2 cities, etc., you will see a lot more entrepreneurial spirit. The reason is because the IIT IIM guy knows that there is an Accenture and IBM who will give.
Who is coming?
For the tier 2 city guy, the tier 2 college guy, entrepreneurship is a serious career option because he doesn't have another option.
Yeah. So
Okay, we'll try to put this architecture in place.
so
Just to put in a point, Professor Raghavan, who today is the scientific advisor, I remember telling him I'm not funding any IITs, but I need you to handhold a tier 2 an IIT or other. And he's brought me 5 such institutions who's doing, they're really doing excellently well. They've worked in the area of security, so I completely agree with your point, and I missed that point, and I want to.
I heard you speak at the CII summit in Bangalore. I was in the crowd. And
So from the push to a pull strategy, I think what is required, every entity is, if we treat it as a startup and we want to make it a successful, if we can have a kind of a success stories showcase properly. So if you have a uniform, uniform. I totally go with those thoughts. They will be coming to
I mean, it was
TCOE.
only a hypothesis. I mean, I had not discussed this at all, but
Right.
you appear to be flagging it as your first point.
Right. So they will be coming to TCOE and they will be saying that how can we collaborate with TCOE. And this, I think the first good step will be if we can showcase the success stories of TCOE and take it to all the possible stakeholders beyond government outside. It should go to the private sector also. Now, as an accelerator, coming back to the accelerator side of it, now I'm coming with a fund which is going to be a $50 million fund, and we are going to invest not only in the accelerator portfolios but wide across in the country. The TCOE has to collaborate or has to come with some kind of a fund. Incentive is a must for the researchers and entrepreneurs, but there has to be a kind of a decision power at the TCOE end. As of now, TCOE is the coordinator. So if I am looking at TCOE, so I'm trying to do a mapping of TCOE and what accelerator is. Right? Today I have a power in accelerator that I can move things faster because I have access to the capital. I have incentives to build for the entrepreneurs and push it hard. So if TCOE can have insight or closely working with a fund or access of capital, and then helping building the structure in terms of the incentives for these researchers and entrepreneurs, I think that's the very quick way while we are showcasing the success stories. So these are two big points I'd like to highlight here, and unlike the platforms like yours to showcase more to TCOE in the global market.
We would love to cover this kind of success stories.
Yeah.
Not only through TCOE, even you can also send directly to us
Yeah.
or the copy to TCOE and all those success stories.
I think it's
I
very.
would
Can
definitely
you just elaborate on your last point on TCOE link to funding agencies? And I mean, you just
So-
it appeared to me that you have mentioned it. As
Right,
you-
I'll give you a
But
parallel
what
to
is
this.
the how to go about it?
Okay, so I'll give a parallel example. So today in the accelerator, if I have to pick a good startup, so I have more than 8,000 applications are there with us in the last 8 months, and we have picked only 7. So we have our own investment thesis. The investment thesis is basically from the capital we are injecting. So we have the flexibility of deciding the investment thesis. Today, TCOE cannot decide the investment thesis as one liner. It varies from one investor to the other investor.
Correct.
Right? There we are losing the focus and the timeline. It's stretching out. So if you can have one guideline of the investment thesis, it's a back end. They figure it out and give one guideline to TCOE that this is the investment thesis for the TCOE startups. Second, the skin in the game decides the direction of the success story. So if TCOE
Is it possible? Like for example, we are working with many partners like you.
right,
Is it possible to have guideline based on structuring guidelines to individual funds?
yes, but I feel from my experience, if TCOE is putting a portion of the capital coming in, then TCOE can give a
We are
direction.
putting a minor portion of the capital. We are not putting the major portion.
But I'm not aware about that.
Still, sir, I think that can be worked. And precisely this meeting is just not for that someone is here with innovation and you will just funding. Because
Right.
right now you can meet anyone, whoever will give you
Right.
presentation.
Right.
TCOE won't be coming picture.
Yeah.
But TCOE work will be that if someone wants to work with TCOE or further refinement
Right.
and making the proof of concept till validation, then that's where TCOE will help.
Exactly.
And TCOE is in the process along with the DIT and within the DOT itself,
Yeah.
some funding mechanism to fund them not to individual but to TCOE,
TCOE, yes.
such that they develop the product up to proof of concept, and then once that stage comes, then naturally I am sure that funding agencies like you or other